Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays, looking at part 10 of the Beginner's Guide series, and hopefully up until this point the Beginner's Guide has been helping you guys move forward in the game as you're learning how the mechanics work. And I'm going to show you what it's like once you guys have finished with an airframe and you want to move on to the next one. Now early on it's not that big of a deal because the economy is pretty liberal for the first few tiers, but once you start getting to tier 5, tier 6, you'll discover that the grinds get longer, the experience and credit you need is going to start, the threshold starts to get higher and higher, so it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more time consuming, and you want to maximize the efficiency so that way you're not wasting money when it comes to buying the next aircraft and all the equipment that comes along with it. So I'm going to take you through the process for me when I'm transferring from my tier 5 airplane in this example to my tier 6, and as you progress up the line, and this is going to assume that you're going to sell the previous aircraft. Now some of you out there may be collectors and that's totally a viable option, but this is the way that I see to be the most efficient. So I'm going to move on to the Yak 1M. I have the ability to research it. I'm not using any free XP. I try to avoid using free XP because I would like to use that free experience to unlock the modules on this next airframe, so that way it becomes a little bit more potent when it goes into battles. So let's go ahead and click research here. This aircraft is now unlocked, and we've unlocked all of the modules for the Yak 1. I usually advocate unlock everything for the previous aircraft. The other airframes, there's only a few instances where I won't unlock all the modules, but a lot of these are going to transfer over. For example, this top engine is going to be available for the Yak 7, the Yak 1M, the Yak 9, the Lag 3. So this is shared between multiple platforms, and it was worth the effort to unlock it. Same thing with this machine gun. The machine gun transfers over to a lot of other airframes as well. The airframe itself doesn't transfer, but we needed that in order to get to the next machine gun, and it made us more maneuverable, so it made sense to grab it. So since we've unlocked everything, this thing's deleted, but we no longer need it. I'm going to go ahead and hit my sell button here. I'm going to send that pilot to the barracks, and I am not going to demount any of the equipment. I don't necessarily think it's worth the gold. I have enough credit income from some of my premium aircraft. I don't think that it is worth it. But I'm also assuming that you don't have any gold, because a lot of people first starting out with this game, if you're trying to discover if you like it enough to invest money into it, I'm just going to assume that you are not putting money into it at this point, and you're kind of on the fence as to whether or not you want to do that, or maybe you're never going to put money into the game, and that's fine too. We need more of a player base anyways. So no gold. Gonna go ahead and hit sell here. We're gonna get 400,000 and some change credits back from selling that, and we sent that pilot to the barracks, and that's gonna be important. So now we're gonna go ahead and click on purchase in our depot here. I'm going to go to Fighters, USSR, and we know the next one is going to be the Yak 1M. Yak 1M is going to cost a substantial amount of credits, so I like to make sure that I have enough credits to purchase that airframe as well as the associated equipment I'm going to need to put on that airframe as well. The only pieces of equipment that we got a refund on were the ones that require gold to demount, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Now, we do not need a crew. We are going to transfer the crew or the pilot from the 1 to the 1M. Now, if we didn't have a hangar slot available and we were keeping the airframe, you can spend tokens or you can spend gold, but tokens are in-game currency you can earn, so that way you can accrue more aircraft if you're a collector, but we're going to assume that you have limited hangar spaces and you're just moving on to the next airframe. So we're going to go ahead and purchase this 1M. There she is. That's our new aircraft. Looks very similar. That makes sense, right? So let's put our pilot back in. We're going to put in the Yak 1 pilot. We're going to click on the pilot and retrain for the Yak 1M. I advocate going ahead and getting 90% crew train, so that way he gets closer to getting these skills reactivated, because right now they're at a 25% reduction until the pilot proficiency is back to 100% on this airframe. That means he's not going to be gaining any credits. See right here, skill points receiving is frozen until his proficiency reaches 100%, which shouldn't take more than a couple matches. Put our standard consumables back on here. We've got, these are the staples for my nimble fighters. Now I'm not going to mess with my belts yet because we still have to go through and take a look at the upgrades. But for the equipment, we can go ahead and slap on engine tuning, lightweight airframe, and so I had a comment on one of my videos about the turn and burn fighters, about maximizing maneuverability and not wasting slots on aiming for center line mounted weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and take that advice and see how this plays out, and I'm going to maximize maneuverability with this control surface trim. I still think engine tuning is going to be important just for maintaining airspeed to get around those turns, especially when we don't have the engine upgrades available yet. So we're just going to leave it like this and see if this gives us the ability to get back on someone's tail relatively quickly. Now, this aircraft has the machine guns unlocked from the previous airframe, those centerline at 12.7, so we're going to go ahead and purchase those. Now, we could spend some of our free XP on the 20mm cannons that are an upgrade to the previous ones, or we can go ahead and get the engine upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and grab the engine upgrade now. Because it's a ×3 weekend, so I should be able to get enough experience to grab the 20s that I need to upgrade. So let's go ahead and purchase the engine. And there we go. That is our fully kitted out aircraft. We used almost all of our currency, so we are down to 91,000. Now, if you find yourself in a state where you don't have enough credits to be able to complete this new purchase, and speaking of which, now that we've put on our munitions, let's go ahead and spend the credits to put on these universal ammo, because with only 3 guns, I think it's going to be worth the cost. You find yourself in a situation where you're running low on credits and you would like to get some more just to be able to top off the airframe and finish kitting it out. There is a couple of options available to you, and up in the depot you can sell modules, and you click all, and this will sell weapons, engines, airframes that you've upgraded from previous aircraft. If you've been playing this game long enough, you probably haven't realized that these are sitting here. You want to hit all because it'll also take the ones that are for the already upgraded airframes. So for example, you see this engine Sapphire SA.1, this engine right here, where it's 70,000 credits. If we go to the hangar and we take a look here, that is actually off of my P228, and that was the stock engine. I don't need the stock engine. I can re-equip it right now if I so choose, but there's no reason to do that. So when I go up here to depot and I sell this Sapphire engine, bloop, it's gone now. And when I go to my hangar and I try to equip that, now I have to purchase it back if I would like it back. But again, you're not going to put back on old airframes, you're not going to put back on underpowered guns or underpowered engines, so there's no reason to retain any of that, and it's worth your while to go ahead and sell those pieces of equipment in order to recoup some of your costs. So right here now we're back up to 154,000, so now I can probably afford to rent some cool paint job now for that airframe. So let's go ahead and bump you back to my favorites as one of my grinding aircraft, and now we can finish painting and put some cool nose art on here if we want to make us like the plane a little bit more. You look ugly. But that's pretty much the gist of it, guys. That's how I switch over from one airframe to the other in order to retain some of the cost, or defer some of the cost if you would. So, boop. Cool. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.